I'm Samantha Brown, professional organizer, decluttering specialist, and business coach. I created Pro Organizers Coach podcast to empower you to reach new heights in your business. I am on a mission to build a supportive sisterhood of passionate professional organizers. So whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just getting started, this podcast is for you. Hey friends, welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Today I have Miss Julia Bocchese, and she is an SEO, Pinterest, and AI search strategist who helps businesses get found online and attract the right clients through search. She's the founder of Julia Renee Consulting, where she builds clear, sustainable strategies focused on real growth, conversions, and long-term visibility without the confusing jargon. So thank you, Julia, for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Love it. Okay, so today's topic, everyone, we are going to talk about Pinterest and how you can, like, what the best practices are, how it can help you, all of the things that are Pinterest marketing. And I thought this would be a good topic for us because I know for a lot of us, Pinterest, we use Pinterest for one, and a lot of people looking to organize their homes use Pinterest. But also, Pinterest is actually a search engine similar to YouTube or Google, right? So it's not just like another platform that you're going to be on or spend time on. It's going to actually allow people to search specifically for what content you're putting out. Unlike social media, where sometimes it disappears and, or like just gets lost in the ether and you have no idea who saw it, how much they saw, all the things. So perfect. Let's talk about, so in your opinion, Julia, with Pinterest, like what is like the benefits of using Pinterest in your business as a local service-based business?
Yeah, so kind of like what you were saying with it being, more evergreen is that it is a definitely more long-term like SEO and YouTube where it takes a little bit of time to build up. But once you put a pin up on Pinterest, it can drive traffic back to your site for months to even years. So Instagram and Facebook, the posts kind of disappear after like 48 hours or so, maybe a little bit longer if you go viral and get lucky. But with Pinterest, it's actually made to kind of like drive that more evergreen traffic, give your content a much longer shelf life. And it can actually be really good for local businesses. It goes back to the content that you're putting up on Pinterest. So if you're just like, kind of creating generic blog posts on like how to organize your closet, that isn't going to reach the local audience quite as much as if you are kind of, honing in on who your audience is, what they need help with, and the kind of like general area.
Love it. And then also with Pinterest, because I don't even know much about Pinterest. I
Mhm.
just started using Pinterest. I mean, I've used it, but for marketing purposes, I just
Mhm.
recently started using it. Are you able to, or would you in the title maybe put the cities you're trying to do, or even
Mhm.
in like, is there a way to kind of localize it
Mhm.
more for when you're doing Pinterest?
Yeah, there are some kind of more local strategies. So I always recommend putting your location in when it makes sense. So if you do just have that blog post on like how to organize your closet, I wouldn't really put in like your city or your region because that just kind of doesn't make sense. But I've worked with like, a professional organizer on Pinterest and she had a lot of content that was specific to her city. So she had some things on like where to recycle laptops in Raleigh or like, you know, 5 places to take your clothing donations in Raleigh, kind of things like that that are a lot more specific, or, the top, 5 stores to get organizing supplies, like things like that that are more specific to your area. That's when I would definitely put your city in. You can also do things like add videos. So if you are doing Instagram Reels or something like that, and you're showing off projects while you're maybe in the middle of them, or if it's like a before and after, then definitely put in your location, like, hey, I'm organizing this garage in Philadelphia. So that would make sense to, add the location. But if it's kind of just like a general blog post that isn't specific to a location, I wouldn't recommend doing it. But you can also add in your location in your profile. So if someone is searching for more like people or types of, businesses on Pinterest rather than just the pins themselves, if you have your location in your profile, that can help, people in your local area find you.
That's awesome. And I really like the what you were saying about the content that she did specifically of like,
Mhm.
5 places, because those are actually double, right? Like it's
Hmm.
something that we as organizers think of, but our clients could be like it's a great way for multiple different types of people to find us
Yeah.
and to see us. Because sometimes even if other organizers in our area get to know that we're there, if they have a big project or they have a client that calls
Hmm.
them that doesn't align with who they are or whatever.
Hmm.
Like it's just nice to network and get to know other business owners and stuff.
Hmm.
So even them looking for, but
Yeah.
specifically like talking to people about like where to get the best, because
Hmm.
especially if you don't have a container store, like something like
Yeah.
that, it's hard, so that what types of containers, like the dump thing, the recycling thing is huge because a
Hmm.
lot of our clients are like, well, where are my items going? And
Hmm.
maybe even if you did kind of blog posts on like the best place to donate in Raleigh, for instance, and the
Hmm.
reasons why like for me in Knoxville, I go to a place called Community Chest because
Hmm.
they sell everything for $1. They like really help the community and needy
Hmm.
families. And so there's like a purpose behind why I like to donate there. And so even
Hmm.
creating that as a content would be
Yeah.
great because it's specific to Knoxville. No, I love that. So, okay, let's talk about like the different types of content that do really well on Pinterest,
Hmm.
like just in general. Are we, because here's the thing, I may
Hmm.
sound like a big idiot right now, but I'm just going to ask. So, I know I always get lost on like clicking on it, then all of a sudden a bunch of
Hmm.
other things come up and then you have to go find the visit button. But then
Hmm.
when you click the visit button, now a lot of times it seems to lead to like a product or something that's like
Hmm.
not even connected to like a blog. It's not like a blog or any kind of
Right. Hmm.
information like it used to be. So do you recommend like creating blogs on your website and sending
Hmm.
people back there typically? Is that kind
Hmm.
of the okay?
Yeah, yeah. So I definitely recommend having content on your website. So even if you have like a podcast or a YouTube channel or something like that, or if you're creating like a lot of Instagram reels, you can repurpose those videos and link them back to your website. But I always recommend giving your website the traffic because that's the easiest way to convert people once they land on your website. And then also the traffic going back to your website is also going to help your rankings on Google. So it's kind of, doing double duty there. Because the more
Hmm.
quality traffic you get, the more it signals to Google that people are interested in your website, that they're engaging with it and everything. So it really benefits your website to get that traffic.
Gotcha. So it would be like creating a blog, and then if your Instagram reel is on there, or even your YouTube video, it could be part of the blog on
Hmm.
the website. And then underneath it, you could have the wording and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But the actual
Hmm.
video would still be considered like a blog post on the website.
Yeah, or if you don't even want to have to create a separate blog post, you can just like add the video as a pin on Pinterest and then link it back to maybe a relevant blog post if you already have one, or even like your portfolio page. So if you have a video that's showing like the before and after of a project that you just did, it would, kind of make sense to link it back to your portfolio page or even like your services page. So even if you don't want to have to like take that video and create a separate blog post for it, finding a relevant blog post or even like an email freebie if you have like a landing page for that, something that would be relevant to that specific video and then link it back there.
Gotcha. No, that's great. Okay, so then let's talk about like how often or like best
Mhm.
practices when it comes to like should I be is it like social media? We're gonna post 3 times a
Mhm.
day every day?
No. So I will say the more often you're able to post on Pinterest, the better within reason. That doesn't mean you have to go and like pin 50 times a day because that's a little crazy. Definitely start with at least one pin a day because the more consistent you are, the more it's going to signal to Pinterest that your, account is active and it's going to help your pins perform better. So if you can just do one pin a day to start with, that's great. If you can, do like 5 to 10 a day, that's, even better. But you can also schedule things out on Pinterest. So you can schedule out like a month or two and then not even have to log into Pinterest for a month. So that's one thing I love about Pinterest is like you don't have to show your face. You don't have to go
Mhm.
on like Instagram stories if you don't want to. You can just get everything scheduled out and not even have to touch Pinterest itself if you don't want to.
No, I love that. I just released my marketing course. It's my most recent one.
Hmm.
And I went through kind of a, like a social media strategy of specifically the batching, but exactly how to do it to where you, within a
Hmm.
few hours, the whole next month is covered. So
Yes.
then you're
Hmm.
done because we don't have time to be thinking. And then if you
No.
think about something else extra throughout the month,
Hmm.
great, it's additional content. But
Hmm.
typically, like as we're more of like boots on the ground, we're doing the
Hmm.
work, we're doing the back end of the business. So like the last thing we want to be doing is
Hmm.
spending time, in Canva and edit, like all the stuff.
Yeah.
And so I just think that it's great that you can literally the same time you sit down to batch your social media,
Hmm.
just, essentially one day a month is what you're looking
Yeah.
at between Pinterest and your social media if you strategize and do it correctly,
Hmm.
and just get it batched out. And then you don't have to sit and be freaking out all the time, like, oh my gosh, what's my next one?
Yeah.
The lady that's helping me right now with Pinterest, we had actually, and I thought this was genius, and you can tell me if it is or isn't. But so we created a blog post, right? Like, and let's say
Hmm.
it's whatever the topic is, paperwork for your organizing business, right?
Hmm.
And then we took and we created to that same blog post that like seven different titles that
Hmm.
are for that exact same blog post, but
Hmm.
then she scattered them. So like one week it goes
Hmm.
out on Monday, the next week's Tuesday, the next week's Wednesday, the next week's Thursday. So it
Hmm.
like scatters them out. Is
Hmm.
that a good way to do it to where it like keeps driving traffic to that same blog post? It's once a week, but it's
Hmm.
also kind of tapered.
Yeah, yeah. So I definitely recommend if you are going to create multiple like, graphics or pins for the blog post to yeah, space them out by at least a week. You don't want to create 10, graphics for a blog post and pin them all on the same day because Pinterest can be a little strict with kind of like their spam rules. So if they think that you're being spammy and like pinning a bunch of the same things over and over again, you kind of get penalized. But yeah, definitely spacing out by a week or so. And yeah, when you have different blog post titles or even like different titles on the pin graphic itself or something like that, that's testing out different, phrases or keywords or, even just like ways of wording the title to kind of see what performs the best. So there are definitely a lot of benefits with kind of, having different blog post titles, having different, pin graphics, and then also spacing things out to different boards.
Yeah, and for anyone that's on here that's like that sounds like a lot of work,
Hmm.
Chat GPT is your best friend. Just ask him for all of the things. Like, give me 10
Hmm.
titles and then just,
Yeah.
pick out what makes sense for the people you're speaking to.
Hmm.
And obviously you teach AI too. So I'm sure like
Hmm.
you have strategies of ways to use AI for
Hmm.
Pinterest and SEO because all of yours kind of go together.
Hmm.
And so is that kind of how you got into this with like SEO kind of leads into Pinterest, which kind of leads into AI? Like they all kind of work together.
Yeah, so when I like first started off, I was like just a very traditional freelancer doing all the jobs. So I was doing like SEO and Pinterest and, Facebook and Instagram, and then realized I didn't like Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
But I liked Pinterest because it did have that, search engine aspect to it, but then you can also be more creative with like the pins. So, SEO, there's like a lot of data, a lot of strategy, and then Pinterest can be a little bit more fun and a little more creative. And then the AI search side is a little newer because, yeah, I mean, AI, platforms just came out in the last few years. But that one, there is a lot of overlap with SEO and Pinterest because, I mean, people are using ChatGPT kind of like a search engine now, where they are asking for, different services or products or things like that. So helping my clients make sure their website is set up for, both success for SEO and AI search, but then also if they have content, making sure they're being strategic with the Pinterest side. So yeah, all the different like search platforms, they all kind of like intermix and play off of each other.
Absolutely. Well, and actually, inside of the community, because I've got a community of organizers that,
Hmm.
like have come through the course and then,
Hmm.
now like we support each other. But a handful of them now, like with just within the past few months, when they ask a client, like, how did you find me? Chat GPT is
Yeah.
how I
Hmm.
found you. Like it really is
Hmm.
like they're starting to show up like find me an organizer in
Hmm.
Knoxville that can help with decluttering or what and
Hmm.
so the more you have, and that's where like the blog posts matter as well, because
Hmm.
the more that you have the words on there that are speaking to your people and that are talking about what you do. I know it's a pain in the butt to do it to begin with, but it
Hmm.
it it really is worth it over time. And I like
Hmm.
what you said in the beginning of this is a long term game. It's
Yeah.
very much the way I have to keep reminding myself about YouTube and a podcast. Like, this
Yes.
is a long term strategy. This is not an overnight, like, oh, I'm going to get a client tomorrow kind of thing.
Hmm.
But it's like the foundational pieces and building blocks that over time really do start to build on one another. And then it starts to exponentially grow from
Mhm.
there. You just have to be consistent with it. Starting and growing a professional organizing business can feel lonely. You're making decisions by yourself, you're trying to figure things out, and you're wondering if you're doing things the right way, which is exactly why I created the Pro Organizers community. Inside the community, you're surrounded by women who are building their organizing businesses too. You'll get access to weekly group coaching sessions with me, guest expert workshops once a month, business discussions, and a supportive community where you can ask questions and get real answers. It's a place where you get to share your wins, work through challenges, and grow alongside others who understand this journey. If you purchase a course, you will get access to the community, or you can choose to just come join the community because building your dream business shouldn't feel like something that you have to do alone. Go to proorganizers.community to learn more.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people will give up after like 3 months if they're not seeing results, and no, you have to stick with it.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and consistency with anything in business, I think that's the honestly, like everyone's always like, what's a hack or what's like a secret
Yeah.
or consistency. Like, I don't care what it is you're doing. I don't like
hmm
keep it simple, but be consistent about it, right? Like
Yeah.
it's I mean, you can keep it simple. You don't have to go crazy with it, but you still need to have some sort of consistency because like you said, the algorithms are going to look at, well, are you active? Are you active like on the same day each? Like
hmm
how much are you, are you putting stuff out, scheduling, like just different things that are going to put you in front of, more eyeballs, so to
hmm
speak. And then, so are there anything like best practice wise or like things that I've not thought to ask that
hmm
the listener should know about Pinterest specifically?
Yeah, yeah. So we can kind of like talk about the actual like pin designs. So a lot of people overthink it and get really stressed out. And you can just start off like with something really simple. Canva has so many templates that you can start from. You can just upload like your brand fonts and brand colors to make sure everything is, cohesive with your brand. But it can just be as simple as like, just a picture with a, a text overlay on a colored background, something like that. Just make sure the text is easy to read, it's clear, especially because more people are using the Pinterest app on their phones. So if the text can't be seen easily on their phone, they're just going to swipe through because they're not going to like try to zoom in and squint and try to, figure out what things say. So keep it simple with how many fonts you have on a pin. Don't have like a lot of really thin script fonts because those are just really hard to read. Make sure there's enough, contrast between the text and the background. So if you have like an image that you want to use and you want to put text on it, put like a colored background behind the text so that way it can be easily read. Because people are scrolling through Pinterest, so you want to make sure that you can catch their attention quickly and get them interested in clicking through to your website instead of just scrolling past to someone else.
I think that's huge because actually I was just on there the other day and the one that stood out for me because I was trying to look at some that I wanted mine to kind of look like and I was trying
hmm
to send my person like some ideas of ones that I liked.
hmm
And literally the one that stuck out the most was the most simple. It was just a background of an organized closet or something in the
Yeah.
background, right? But it had just a circle that was in like a light gray or something. It was
hmm
like just a circle in the middle with the big words in the middle of
Yep.
the
hmm
circle. And that's all it was. That was the
hmm
whole photo. But it looked so professional and like
hmm
sleek where the other ones like you said, I've seen some others that are very like there's a lot of stuff going on in this one
Yeah.
photo
Yeah.
and it just kind of like it's almost like you get clutter like the way our clients are like clutter
Yeah.
overwhelmed. I tell
hmm
my ladies all the time or like especially when they get to the website course, I'm like keep it simple and like more
Yeah.
sleek and clean and minimal because the people that are looking for us, most of them, especially when we specialize in decluttering, they're already overwhelmed. So
Yep.
the second they see something in front of them that feels overwhelmed, they're going to be like turned off by that. If
hmm
it's sleek and minimal and pretty, but it still gets the point across. Like it was an organized
Hmm.
closet behind the circle with the words. It felt very calming and
Yeah.
soothing versus like what is happening here, like get me away
Yes.
from this
Mhm.
because I'm already overwhelmed. And so we want to, portray that like calming, soothing stuff, and like you said, simple really is better, and
Mhm.
then you're not having to overthink it and be overwhelmed by it. Just
Yeah.
keep it simple.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely keep things simple. Make sure it's like really easy to read. And then also Pinterest has their own like AI that they use integrated within it that will actually read the text that's on a pin. So yeah, if you have a lot of like really busy text, really, small, thin script or something like that, the Pinterest AI could actually have a harder time reading it rather than, yeah, if it is something that's simple, the text is large enough, they can easily scan it and know what it says.
That's crazy. So Pinterest has its own AI, and that's like
Mhm.
what they are using to know what is on the photo
Yeah.
or like
Hmm.
the wording and stuff. Oh, I
Yeah.
did not know that.
So
That's cool.
yeah, so I think you were kind of talking about it earlier, but when you open a pin and then you see like the visit site button, and then you can also see the like related pins. If you'll
Mm-hmm.
look, a lot of them are like very similar, designs or structures. So I'll see this a lot of times with my like interior design clients where they have a picture that has like a specific color of, tile for a backsplash. And then all the related pins have very similar tiles. So Pinterest AI is like looking to, kind of find similar images or similar, topics even sometimes. But yeah, they are scanning to like see what is actually in the image. So both the text, but then also like the actual photos.
Oh, well, that's good to know. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool, honestly. Everything now is so like it's crazy the way that
Yeah.
all the things are
Yeah.
happening, and then I'm sure the title too, like you were saying,
Yeah.
you can,
Hmm.
but I'm sure that matters like to like does it matter as much? Because like with YouTube, the title is
Hmm.
almost everything and the
Right.
thumbnail, but the title is huge. Is it just
Mhm.
as big on Pinterest as well, like the actual
Yeah.
title of it?
Yeah, so on the actual pin itself, so you can have the text on the like pin design, which is important. If you have like a really long blog title, I would probably do something a little bit shorter so that way it's not just a huge pin with full of text.
Yeah.
Like again, try to make it eye-catching for, easily read with people who are just scrolling through. But then you can also add the pin title and the pin description. So Pinterest is also looking at that for the keywords to know what this pin is about, what the, blog post or the product that is linking to is about. So that way they know what to actually rank it for. And then also anyone who opens the pin, they're going to see the pin title and pin description. So yeah, if you just have like, I don't know, something really generic, or sometimes people don't like fully fill them in, it just says like blog post or something like that, then people might not actually want to click on it to visit the website if they don't know what they're actually going to get, or it could even just look kind of spammy.
Yeah.
They don't know like who actually pinned this if it doesn't actually make any sense or has a lot of typos. So making sure you are filling in the pin title and pin description with, a keyword rich title, that's going to help both for, ranking well on Pinterest and helping Pinterest understand what it's about, but then also anyone who clicks on the pin to go to the visit the website.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. It's crazy the way that all the things. And then actually,
Yeah.
this is I'm gonna throw you a curveball. So I've
Mhm.
not seen them just yet, but one of the ladies inside of the community the other day, she said that on her Pinterest, ads are starting to pop up very much like it's almost becoming similar to Facebook, where it's like more
Mhm.
ads than it is actual,
Mhm.
like the,
Mhm.
other like the things you're looking for. Is that like, have you noticed, like, is it getting a little bit more ad heavy recently, or like, what's your
Mhm.
take on that?
Not that I've noticed specifically. I have heard from some people that some of the ads aren't like quite what they're looking for. So it could be like some of them are standing out more because it's not like quite what they're interested in. So I haven't heard if Pinterest is like testing out different things with their ad platform. But yeah, Pinterest ads, from what I've seen at least, they're typically related to whatever you're searching for on Pinterest, or if you're searching for things on other platforms, and everyone has all the data all the time.
Right.
So they are trying to show you what you're interested in or what you're searching for. But yeah, I'm not sure about like the number of like promoted pins, if that has increased or if they're just kind of like doing things differently.
Yeah, and then when it comes to the ad part of Pinterest, is
Hmm.
that something that you typically recommend people do at
Hmm.
some point, or is it not worth paying for it, or like what's your
Yeah, so I would say I would definitely start with organic first to just make sure you can understand how things are performing, what designs are performing the best, what topics are performing the best before diving into ads. But you can also, I mean, you can run ads for like $1 a day, $5 a day if you kind of just want to test things out and see how things go. I would just make sure whatever you are running ads to is something that maybe converts really well. So if you have a blog post that leads to like, your email freebie or something like that, or if you have a digital product or something that already converts really well, so that way you're going to get some kind of ROI on that ad. But you can
hmm
definitely start ads for a couple dollars a day to kind of just test things out. But one cool thing about the Pinterest ads is that if someone saves your ad, so a save is like when they are saving your pin to their profile, to their boards. So if someone saves your ad, even if you stop putting money behind it, it will still live on and more people can see it and visit and, save it themselves. So that's one little perk that like the Pinterest ads have over like Meta ads or Google ads or something like that. So you can still kind of like, get more traffic and more eyes on your ads, even if you're not putting money behind it, if someone else has saved it for you.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And then the other question, speaking of boards, do you have any tips when it comes to
Mhm.
like the setup of how, like, should I have 15 boards? Should I have two?
Mhm.
Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I would have at least 10 to start with. Make sure that all of the boards that you have are boards that you're able to put content to. So if you have a board on closet organization, but then you don't actually have any like photos or blog posts related to closet organization, then I wouldn't have that right away.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wouldn't have too many boards. It kind of depends on like how many different categories for like your blog posts or products or, topics that you write about, what makes sense. But Pinterest is also wanting people to have more kind of like sub boards. So if you have a board, you can go on there and then create boards within it essentially, because they are trying to make it easy for people to find what they're searching for. So if you have like, 100 boards that someone has to kind of like scroll through to find what they're looking for, they want to kind of like save them time and have just kind of a broader board and then some sub boards underneath that. So but with
Oh.
boards, I would definitely have your board title and board description filled out. The description can just be like a sentence or two. It doesn't have to be like crazy detailed. Also, don't put links in the description because they don't actually hyperlink. But in your board title and description, make sure that you're being clear about what the board is about. Make sure it's like fairly specific. So don't just have like closet, say like, closet organization tips, or you can get even more specific than that if you want. But make sure you are targeting some stronger keywords with those and not just kind of being general and generic.
Yeah, and then when it comes to, for a lot of us, we'll do a side by side before and after, right? Like from the
Hmm.
same angle that just kind of literally is just a side by side of a
Hmm.
before and after. Would those as photos be okay to use in the actual my wording's not great because like I said I'm not a big
That's
I'm
okay.
just now learning Pinterest,
Yeah.
but the photo like that you actually see the pin, I guess is what it's called.
Hmm.
Would those be okay to put as a pin or no?
Hmm.
Because like I'm trying to figure out how we could
Yeah.
maybe
Hmm.
like use those.
Yeah, so I would definitely test it out. So I can't give you like a specific answer because it might work really well for some, people, but then it might not work as well for others. So I definitely test, different strategies out. I will say that having a vertical image versus a horizontal image is going to perform better on Pinterest because it takes up more space. If you need to kind of do like a square image, if, the vertical doesn't work out, you can, test out square images as well. But I would definitely try out having just the image as the pin and then, adding the pin title and description, see how that performs. You can also do, I mean, similar to kind of like the carousels on Instagram, you can do carousel pins. So you can have, if you want to have like a before picture and then swipe to see the after, or if you want to start with the after and then swipe to see the before, you can see how those perform. You can also kind of do like a slideshow of images as a video. So there are lots of different ways that you
Oh,
can kind of like
you really
test out.
can?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like
Yes.
Pinterest has grown. I didn't use I mean honestly like it's probably been 4 years or something since
Hmm.
I used Pinterest as like a way like
Yeah.
to actually like look things up. And so when I just started, like maybe a month or two ago, like really starting to figure out, like for POC specifically, like,
Hmm.
to link back to the podcast and like all that
Hmm.
stuff. And now it's like, I mean, obviously everything's grown, but so you're
Hmm.
saying a pin isn't just a photo anymore. Like it can be a
Right.
video, it can be
Hmm.
a carousel slideshow, it can be
Hmm.
all of those, and that's still just the pin
Yep.
that would
Yeah.
replace. Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
impressive. I did not know that.
Yeah, so I mean, you can take kind of similar to what your Pinterest person is doing with like, creating different graphics for one blog post. You can kind of do the same thing with just like different photos or showing the photo in different ways. So even if you just have like one blog post right now, you can repurpose that and, test out all these different like pin designs, or like video pins and things like that to kind of see what is starting to perform the best.
Yeah, and then speaking of, is there one that you're seeing now that does seem like, because in a lot of places,
Hmm.
video seems to do
Yeah.
better or shorts seem to do better than longer.
Hmm.
Like, is there something right now that's kind of like either trending or seeming to do better typically, or are they all kind of equal?
It will depend kind of on the business, on the type of like pins and things like that. But typically, kind of like the pin graphics perform, really well across all accounts. For videos, some things to note is people on Pinterest, they don't have their volume turned on, or, Pinterest will have the pins kind of like muted to start off with. So if you do want to do a video, know that people can't hear it. So if you're speaking, make sure you have captions. Trending audio doesn't matter on Pinterest.
Yeah,
So like the audio doesn't matter nearly as much on Pinterest. Also kind of like keeping things short and sweet. I think usually around like 15 seconds for Pinterest is, pretty good. Also with Pinterest, it is a colder audience. People are searching more for like information, inspiration, things like that, rather than actual like people or services. So if it's kind of like a video of you just talking at the camera, they don't know who you are, and they don't necessarily care who you are.
right.
So typically videos where you're like showing your face a lot or, talking to the camera, those might not perform as well as kind of like showing, before and after, or like while you're in the middle of a project or, showing different like organizing materials and things like that. So their video can perform really well on Pinterest, but you do kind of have to make sure you're not just thinking the same Instagram videos that you're using are going to perform as well. Or, if you are using a lot of videos on Instagram that are showing the before and after and aren't showing your face, those might perform well. So kind of just test things out, but
What
also
about the
understand how Pinterest audiences work.
Yeah, and what about the fast forward ones? Because I'm thinking
Hmm.
of one of my members right now that she is killing it on Instagram with
Hmm.
those, like, it's literally just the camera's there, and even though it's
Hmm.
her, it's not her talking to camera, it's her
Yeah.
working, and it's in fast forward, right? So
Hmm.
like, would something like that's kind of a like showing quickly
Hmm.
how like you pulled out everything out, and then like it was more of a before and after, but it was just
Hmm.
like a longer, quick version, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would definitely test those out. Yeah, especially since she's like showing what she's doing. She's not, yeah, just talking to the camera. Hmm.
Yeah. I think that's probably like you said with Pinterest, I feel like it's more visual, right? So it's more
Yeah.
about versus like the audio or versus needing to see a face. Like on Instagram,
Hmm.
faces do better, except for
Yeah.
here recently, out of nowhere, these no face things are doing amazing. Who would have
Yeah.
thunk it? But I think with Pinterest, it really is more about the visuals. Like it's
Yeah.
whatever is visually appealing or visually can like get the point across,
Hmm.
more so than just sitting and talking. Like they're not podcast
Yeah.
listeners, they're not, they're just scrolling through kind of
Hmm.
quickly, and so it needs to catch their eye. I
Or
love
dancing
it.
videos. You don't have to do dancing videos on
Oh,
Pinterest.
thank God. Thank God.
Yeah.
I still don't even have TikTok downloaded. Like I'll have people
No.
try to send me stuff and I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm too old for this. Like I
Hmm.
get that, like, well, for one, I downloaded it one time and I lost like 5 hours of my life. And I
Yeah.
said, okay, no more. Like I cannot sit here and just scroll because I mean, it's
Hmm.
interesting, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just stupid, random, interesting stuff. But I'm like, I need to get back to work. Like I don't have time to mess
Hmm.
around for 5 hours just scrolling. Um, but so I was like, forget this. Like, and my son told me one day, he's like, Mom, you should start a TikTok because he's 17. So in his mind,
Hmm.
the like, Snapchat and TikTok are where it's at. And I'm like, Jaden, the people I am speaking to are not your age group. Like your age group cannot afford me, no offense, but
Yeah.
like, and they're not looking to organize their homes
No.
or, or learning how to become an organizer. Like that's not what, but in his mind, that would fix everything. Oh, just go to
Yeah.
TikTok and Snapchat. And I'm like, no, that's
I
not how
can't
this
believe
works.
Snapchat is still a thing.
Right? Like my sister-in-law had sent me, we wanted to start a family Snapchat thing. We're like, because we're
Mm-hmm.
all in different states. So to see our
Yeah.
kids grow up and send videos. And she still to this day sends them, but I don't even see them because I'm just like, I don't know. To me,
Yeah.
Snapchat never like connected with who I
Hmm.
am. But I'm also not a social media person either, which is why I started a podcast instead
Yeah.
of,
Hmm.
because I'm more of a I need to be up doing things while listening, not a like,
Hmm.
oh, let me sit and lose all this time while I'm watching things
Right.
happen. Okay, love it. So, do you care to tell everyone just like where they can find you,
Hmm.
all the things that you offer kind of thing?
Yeah. Yeah. So you can find me. My website is juliareneeconsulting.com. You can find me on Instagram. It's Julia Renee Consulting. And then my email, if you have any questions, is julia@juliareneeconsulting.com. But I do have lots of blog posts on my website if you want to check them out and kind of like get more specific with your Pinterest strategy. Or if you need help with Pinterest, you can also find all the information on my services there.
Love it. No, I think that's amazing. And then I'll make sure all the links obviously are in like the show notes
Mhm.
and the description and everything so they can, just make sure they got the link correct. But thank you so much for coming on and talking about this because I know it may not be for all of us and it may not
Mhm.
be where all of us are. Like my recommendation, if you are just starting your organizing business, please do not do this. But if you're like a year in or you're to the point where you're starting to book out with clients, you may have a little bit of extra time and you're wondering what your next strategy should be.
Mhm.
This is definitely a great option to kind of grow, not a like, oh, I just started my business, now I need to add
Mhm.
Pinterest marketing to my to-do list. Don't do that yet. Like wait
Mhm.
until you're at least a year and a half in
Yeah.
and you have some consistency going because you also need to have stuff to talk about too, right?
Mhm.
So you got to work with some clients and like really get in there to have some good content. But no, I think it's amazing, like everything you're offering, and I really appreciate you for being on the show.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. And then for those of you listening, we appreciate your time, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.